All right, chapter 2. We're going to do section 1A today, 1B on 1B on Monday. Then we're going to review Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're going to take our test on chapter 1 on Thursday. This stuff today and Monday will not be on your test. But there's no reason that we can't move along. You guys won't get confused or anything like that, I promise. All right, look at this first slide. I want you guys to fill this in as I talk about it. Slope-intercept form, we all know that, versus point-slope form versus standard form. I try to do it with colors. In slope-intercept form, that's your y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, which is how the graph is formed, up and over, rise over, run. If it's positive, if your slope is positive, your line is going upwards. This is a positive slope. If your line is negative, it's going downwards. That's a negative slope. Okay? Your intercept, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. If you notice, I kept y and x the same color. Those are constants in that equation. They don't change. In point-slope form, okay, sometimes it's easier to use point-slope versus slope-intercept and vice versa. But a good time to use point-slope form is when they give you a point and a slope. So it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The y and the x that are in like that greenish, bluish, blackish color, those are constants. If you notice, I put y1 and x1 in green. That's the point that would be given. And then m is your slope. And then in standard form, that's when it's x, y equals your constant. Standard form, there's no fractions or decimals, and your x must be positive. Okay? Everybody with me? All right, scooting along. All right, when we talk about slope, guys, it's rise over run. How much your line goes up and down over how much it goes left and right. To find the slope given 2 points, your equation is y2 minus y1. And then x2 minus x1. You have to keep y's on top, x is on the bottom. Everybody with me? We're going to do a couple problems just to remember how to do that. But rise over run, and your slope is constant. What does the word constant mean? The same every time. A linear function, a line, anything x to the first power, is a constant slope. That means it's the same. Up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, every single time. To find intercepts, remember, intercepts are where the graph crosses. So to find the x-intercept, you plug in 0. Look, plug in 0 for y. It's where the graph crosses the x-axis. Does every single function touch both axes all the time? No. Sometimes you'll have a y-intercept or an x-intercept, sometimes you won't. Not necessarily with lines, so I'm just saying, excuse me, as we go along. To find the, the y-intercept, just the opposite, you plug in 0 for x, and that's where the graph crosses the y-axis. You good? All right. For some reason, this is the hardest thing for us to wrap our brain around. Vertical versus horizontal lines. If you have a vertical line, the slope is undefined. There's no slope. If you have a horizontal slope, it's 0. So let's think about it this way. All right, here's my xy, and here's my xy. A vertical line goes what direction? Up and down, correct? Up and down. What axis does a vertical line touch? The x. That's why it's an x equals. If you have just x, you don't have a y, it's going to be a vertical line. And think about it. Why is that slope undefined? Well, think about it. Slope is rise over run. So from one point to the next, you have a value, correct? A number? Would you agree with that? From this point here on the graph to this point here, did you move some amount of spaces? Yes. Did you move left or right any? No, so it would be 0 on the bottom. That's why it's undefined, because you're not moving left or right at all. There's no run. There's a rise, but there's no run. So just the opposite, think about a horizontal line. Where does the horizontal line touch? What axis? The y. That's why it's a y equals. There's no x. So think about your slope. Is there a rise? Did you go up any? No, but did you go left and right? Yes, so that's why it's 0, because 0 over a number. When 0 is in the numerator, it's 0. When 0 is in the denominator, it's undefined. Another way you can think about it is, unless you're Spider-Man, if you're standing at the base of a wall, if I'm standing at the base of this wall, can I physically walk up it? No. But if I'm standing on a floor that's flat, doesn't move up or down, can I walk across it? Yes. So you can think of it that way. But that is something that for some reason we just wrap our brains around. All right, I'm not going to graph all of these, but I am going to go through and talk to you guys about identifying pieces of the graph. First of all, what kind of form are we in here? Y equals mx plus b, slope intercept. So you guys can tell me that this is the what? This is the slope. Your slope is positive 2 over 3. And where does this graph cross the y-axis? At positive 1. So it's 0, 1. So if you were going to graph this, you'd put a point at 1. And then to find all of your other points to connect your line, you're going to go up 2 and over 3. Which way am I going to go over? To the right or to the left? Y to the right, because it's positive. If I go down, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to go which way? To the left, because I want my line to slope upwards. The negative versus the positive tells you the direction of the line. So in like number 2, are we still in y equals mx plus b? In number 2, are we still in y equals mx plus b? Yeah. What's my slope? My slope is negative 4 over 1. And then what's the y-intercept? Is at 0, 1. So again, this one's going to cross at 1. So I'm going to put a point here. But from this point, if I go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which way do I go, left or right? Left. If I start at the intercept and go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I go over right. Why did I go in that direction? Because I want my line to go downwards. Does that make sense? Just new to anybody? Okay, good. All right, look at the next one. If I want to identify the slope and the y-intercept, can I just look at it and tell me? No, what do I need to do? I got to divide everything by 3 because I need to get y by itself. So in this case, I have y equals 2 over 3x minus 1/3. Is that okay to have a fractional intercept? Yes. Is it ideal? No. But this would be my slope, right? And negative 1/3 is your y-intercept, where the graph crosses. Is this a positive line or a negative one? Positive or negative? Positive, because your slope is positive. All right, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are not meant to be tricky. But think about this. I need this to say y equals. So if I divide both sides by 3, I have y equals 5/3. What kind of a line is that? It's a horizontal line. If you still are like, oh, I just can't wrap my head around that. Where is 5/3 on the y-axis? It's above 0, right? So I'm going to just say it's right here. If I were to draw a line through that point, what kind of a line am I drawing? It's a horizontal. So in a horizontal, what is my slope? 0. Horizontal, y equals, it's going to give you a horizontal line. So conversely, down here, if I divide both sides by 2, I have x equals 1/2. Where is x equals 1/2 on the x-axis? To the right of 0, yeah? So if I draw a line through that point, what kind of a line am I drawing? Vertical. What is my slope in this case? Undefined. You could also say no slope. On WebAssign, read what it tells you to do. It might tell you to say no slope. It might tell you to say undefined. Just read what it says. All right, scooting along. This is more of the same thing. I know we'll practice graphing a little more. I want to practice you guys putting equations into y equals mx plus b and then identifying stuff. So what do I need to do here first? If I want this to be in slope-intercept form, tell me what to do. I'm going to add 3x to both sides, and then what? So I have 2y equals 3x plus 6, then divide everything by 2. So y equals 3 over 2x plus what? 3. So 3 over 2 is my slope. 3 is my y-intercept. This is a positive or a negative? Positive. Good. Sloping upwards. All right, what do I need to do here? I needed to say y equals mx plus b. So 2 goes this way, negative 3x goes this way. Okay, so rewrite it as negative 2y equals 3x plus 3. Divide both sides by. Perfect. So y equals negative 3 over 2x minus 3 over 2. Does it matter where you put that negative, if it's with the 3 or with the 2? No. Just as long as you know that it's negative. So this is going to be my slope, and this is my y-intercept. So which way does my line going to slope? Upwards or downwards? Good. All right, right away I see, oh, it's an x equals. What kind of a line am I going to get with x equals? It's an undefined slope. Good. Is it a vertical or horizontal? Good. If that's hard for you to remember, think about the x-axis. If you put a point on the x-axis, where does the line go through? It's going to go through the x. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. I get 4x equals 4. So, yep, I don't know why I just said that. Thank you. Yep, add 1. So I have 4x equals 6. Divide both sides by 4. So I have a line at x equals 3 over 2. It's a what kind of line? Vertical. What is your slope? Undefined. Good. All right. How am I going to fix this one? I'm going to subtract the 2/3 x. Good. So 4y equals negative 2/3 x plus 7. And then what? Divide by 4. What? That's weird. So I have y equals, if I have negative 2/3 divided by 4, I'm actually multiplying by 1/4. Good. So negative 2 over 12 gives me, negative 2 over 12 gives me negative 1/6 plus 7 over 4. Am I allowed to write it as negative x over 6? Why not? What number's in front of x? There's a 1 there, isn't there? You can write it like that. You guys will probably see it written like that. You're not going to see it like this. More than likely, from now on, you'll see this. And instead of going, well, I don't know what that means, remember, what number is in front of x? A 1. All right, good. Good. All right, y equals mx plus b. What do I need to do? Divide by negative 3. Biggest thing here, guys, is paying attention to signs. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Does it really make that big of a deal if you mess up a sign on slope? Yeah, massive. So pay attention. This is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. Questions? Okay, we can do this pretty quickly. Find the slope. Did I already find it? What is it? Find the slope. Here it is. How do you know that? Because we're in y equals mx plus b form, right? So your slope is 3 over 1. Don't forget, if you have a whole number, there's a 1 underneath there because it's rise over run. So looking at 12, I can almost find the slope here, but what do I need to do? Hold on, first we need to subtract 1. So 2y equals 6, then what? Divide by 2, so y equals 3. I don't see where it's like, how do I know what the slope is? Okay, think about this. If you were going to graph this, where is y equals 3? It's up here, yeah? What kind of a line are you going to draw? A horizontal. So what's your slope here? Perfect. Good, guys. Good. All right, now I look at a slope question a little differently than others. I don't like when the points are next to each other. Want to know why? Because you guys make silly mistakes. I always rewrite the points on top of each other. All right? I always rewrite the points on top of each other. And then I say, this is my x and this is my y. When you guys are rushing through things, when you're trying to do a million problems at one time, you make silly mistakes. I like to go ahead and say, look, I can easily see my x's and easily see my y's. Now, you guys, some of you get stuck on which one's y2, which one's y1. It doesn't really matter. All right? Everybody, I'm going to do this 2 different ways. We're going to get the same answer. Y's are on top, so I'm going to say 7 minus 3. Am I allowed to do that? Yes. Can I also do 3 minus 7? Yeah. Whatever y value you start with in the numerator, you have to start with the corresponding x value. So if you start with 7, in this case they're both 4, but if you start with 7 in the numerator, then you have to start with its counterpart of x in the denominator. So in this case, it's 4 minus 4 in both of them, right? So 7 minus 3 is 4 over 0. Agreed? What's 3 minus 7? Negative 4 over 0. In both cases, what is the answer here? What is your slope? Undefined, or what else could you say? No slope. You could, but I'd rather you write undefined or no slope, because you could write the 0 and then do this, and then I kind of forget to do the slash, and then I think you wrote 0, so just saying. All right, look at 14. Say we don't like fractions. We don't want to deal with fractions. What could we do to the whole equation? You could multiply everything by what? 3, if you wanted to, and then if you wanted, let's just do that. Because some of you are just like, oh, I don't like dividing by fractions. So if I multiply everything by 3, this becomes 6y equals 2x minus 3, correct? Okay, so now if I want it to be in y equals mx plus b, I'm going to divide everything by 6. So y equals what? 1/3 x minus 1/2. What's my slope? 1/3. How will you probably see that written? X over 3. Just be aware of that, because what is going to go in front of the x in that case? There is a 1. Good. All right, identify the slope. What kind of a form am I starting off in here? This isn't standard form. I have a positive x. I got my y equals a constant. We're good to go. So we're going to do 2 things. We're going to subtract the 2x, move that 2x over. So 3y equals negative 2x plus 5, and then do what? Divide by 3. Perfect. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5/3. Is this a positive or a negative line? Negative. What's my slope? Negative 2 over 3. Where does this cross the y-axis? At 5/3. All right, let's look at this one. Again, this is me. I'm just going to rewrite the points. 5/3 and 4/3. This is my x value. This is my y. Y's on top, so 3 minus 3 over what? Over 4 minus, okay. It's okay, so 0 over negative 1 equals 0. Your slope here is 0. What kind of a line do I have if it's 0 slope? Nope.
Oh, horizontal.
Horizontal. I can walk across it, right? You guys good? All right, we're almost done. Find the slope. What do I do? Subtract 3x. So 4y equals negative 3y plus 5, and then divide by 4. Perfect. So y equals negative 3/4 y plus 5/4. What's my slope? Negative 3 over 4. Good job. Find the slope. So I have negative 3 over 2, negative 3 and 2, sorry, and 4 and 5. I'm going to do this one 2 ways so I can show you what I was talking about here. It's y's on top, so I'm going to say 5 minus 2. If I started with 5 in the numerator, what do I have to start with in the denominator? Nope.
Oh my God.
If I started with 5 in the numerator, what do I have to start with in the denominator? 4, the corresponding. So it's 4 minus negative 3. What's 5 minus 2? 3 over 4 plus 3 is 7, okay? Say you did it the other way. Say some of you are like, well, I wanted to start with 2, so I said 2 minus 5. That's fine. If you start with 2 in your numerator, what do you have to start with in the denominator? So negative 3 minus 4. Well, what's 2 minus 5? Negative 3. What's negative 3 minus 4? Negative 7. What's negative 3 divided by negative 7? A positive 3 over 7. If you started with 5 in the numerator and then negative 3 in the denominator, then yes, you'd get your signs wrong. But whatever you start with in the numerator, whatever y value, you have to start with the coordinating x value in the denominator. So don't get stuck on with, I don't know which point is the first one and which is the second. That doesn't really matter. Just whatever y you start with in the numerator, you have to start with the corresponding x in the denominator. Because a negative divided by a negative will give you a positive. Yep. All right, 2 more, and then I want to do one extra example. First of all, I see there's just an x in here, so I say, ooh, what kind of a line is this going to be? It's undefined. Good, your slope is undefined. What kind of a line is it going to be? Vertical. All right, right away you can tell me, oh, I know the slope is undefined. There's no slope. But go ahead and solve. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. 3x equals 6. So x equals what? 2. This is a vertical line at x equals 2. All right, we're finding the slope again. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 5. This is my x, this is my y. What do y'all want to start with? Negative 5. So negative 5 minus negative 2. Watch your signs. If I start with negative 5 in the numerator, what do I start with in the denominator? Negative 3. So negative 3 minus a negative 1. Whole bunch of negatives there, guys. Minus a negative gives me a, okay, so plus negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And then I have negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, which when we simplify, this becomes positive 3 over 2. Good. Now I want to do one more. You can go. I want to do one more. Say I gave you the slope of 2/3 and the point 4 comma negative 2. And I said, write the equation of a line. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I know that. But what are you given in this example? What did I give you? I gave you a point and a what? A slope. So instead of using y equals mx plus b because we have the slope but we don't have the y-intercept, this is a good case to use point slope form. That's on that first slide. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let me show you the beauty of point slope form. Plug in what I gave you. So it's y minus, what's the y1 value I gave you? Negative 2. Guys, you see how I labeled this? I do that with every answer key, all the stuff I do. Not because I'm doing it to show you guys, to keep myself from making a silly mistake. So I have that, and then I have equals, what's the slope I gave you? 2/3 times x minus, what's the x value I gave you? 4. So if we simplify this, it's y plus 2 equals 2/3 x minus 4. This is the equation of the line in point slope form. Well, what if you had to answer this question in y equals mx plus b? Can you algebraically manipulate this to be y equals mx plus b? Yeah, what would I do with the 2/3? Distribute it, okay. So I have y plus 2 equals 2/3 x minus 8/3, good. Hardest part of this is you're going to have to add or subtract a fraction. Oh my God. What's one last thing I have to do to get y all by itself? I'm going to subtract 2. When I subtract 2, guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn it into thirds. 2 over 1 becomes how many thirds? 6/3, right? So negative 8 minus 6. Negative 14/3. So there is your equation in y equals mx plus b. Here's your equation in point slope, and here's y equals mx plus b. Some questions are going to ask you to put the equation in point slope form. Some are going to ask you to put it in y equals mx plus b, slope intercept. But if they give you a point, and slope, the easiest thing to do is put it into point slope form and then just algebraically move it around. Sound good? Oh my gosh, you guys are great.